My son and I went to look at a Pagani Zonda.
I can't believe I just walked past it so nonchalantly.
It was like, Jesus, what do you do for a living?
And have you driven this one?
How about this for a car? Let me tell you about the history.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Kid in the Sweet Shop. I have been waiting for this moment for a very long time. I think I have come up to the most incredible showroom in the whole of the UK, and this showroom is owned by none other than the brilliant Tom Hartley Jr. And I cannot wait to see what's behind these doors. But before we go in, please make sure you like and subscribe. Come on then. Tom, whoa, Tom, I'm like, don't know where to look.
Jodie, so good to see you.
So lovely to see you. I have been so excited to come up and see your information. Oh, look, my eyes are literally popping out.
We're so pleased to have you here, and it's nice to eventually get you up.
Jackie Stewart's F1, look at
This is the car that he won the 1970 Spanish Grand Prix in.
It's the one he won in.
Yeah, Grand Prix cars. I love Grand Prix cars, but we only ever buy Grand Prix winning cars. So every car that you see here, this one race with Jackie Stewart, which is very rare actually, because Paul and Mark have both got cars that have won multiple races.
Yeah.
So there isn't many Jackie Stewart Grand Prix winning cars in circulation.
Exactly.
This car won 3 races with Damon Hill.
No, you're joking.
No, this is the car that he won his first 3 races in.
The Sega one.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he had 4 second place finishes, 3 firsts.
This is like serious.
Wow. This was regarded as the most advanced car ever in Formula One, the 15C.
Yes.
So his teammate Alan Prost that year won the championship by a mile.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he won the championship before the first round.
Yeah,
really.
exactly. Literally on the first race.
Damon also won 2 races in this.
Unbelievable.
So the FW70.
How long have you had these?
These I bought from Williams about probably 6 years. And I took that car to Jerez. They're all running cars.
You've driven them?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Took that car to Jerez. Williams have a heritage side to the business.
Yes.
Where they're running and supporting their old cars.
Yeah, brilliant.
So they will take a track over for the day, or we had a 2-day track day actually in Jerez.
God, what fun.
And I had all the people that were basically looking after Senna and Mansell and PK Imperial, and they were
there.
They were supporting me.
Was it slightly terrifying?
Yeah, absolutely terrifying. And I know I absolutely underperformed.
Did you?
So I can't wait to try and have another go at it, because you know, you just know you're not very good when you watch your lap times come down by 4 seconds. Like, and you're like, oh that lap was 4 seconds quicker than the last
one. Oh dear, not
but
004.
Have you ever driven a Formula One car?
I haven't. No, I tried, and I'm too tall.
Yeah.
I couldn't get in. So
I think a certain era of car you probably could. So the late, so 2007, 8, no, actually 2010, 11. Those cars were a bit bigger.
Yeah,
We'll come around to it later, but over there.
Is that Lewis's?
That's Lewis's. That's the car that. Should we have a quick look?
Yes.
That's the car that he won his first 2 races in. He got his first.
Tom, I can't believe it.
He got his first 2 pole positions. So the history of this car is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
He got his first 2 pole positions.
Yeah.
He won his first 2 races. Won the last ever race at Indianapolis, the last Formula One race. And then Fernando jumped in it, and he also won in the same chassis. So
unbelievable.
3 wins with 2 different world champions.
And these are basically your babies. These are not for sale.
Yeah. So these are this car here, the Lauda car, we have sold. That car 6 wins.
I can't believe I just walked past it so nonchalantly. Go.
I think that's the most important.
That.
It's so original. You look how original it is. I think if you put a DNA
believe
swab in there, you'll find
sweat.
Nicky.
Yes. Look at all of that. Unbelievable.
But he won the championship in this car, had 6 wins in it, including Monaco in '75.
It's the Monaco winning car. My head slightly exploded. I don't really know what quite to say. Wow.
So.
And have you driven this one?
Haven't driven that. Only recently bought that car actually.
Okay.
So haven't driven that yet. Haven't even sat in that car yet. I think Lewis is slightly slimmer than I am.
Yeah, right.
And
he's petite.
And so that car, I'm not sure how well I'll fit in it, but we'll try
Give it a go.
certain, yeah.
Right, come on, let's leave F1. I mean, gosh, we could talk for about 10 hours on each car. I have to say, these are my two favourite cars, the Miura and the Dino, and they're my both favourite colours.
Oh, really?
If I was literally to get both of them, this is my dream duo.
So are you an old car girl?
Classic, through and through.
And your favourite era would be what? 60s and 70s?
60s and 70s. I mean, I do love a 250 California Spider.
Oh, you have expensive taste.
I have very expensive taste.
Yeah,
but
how did I guess?
yeah, I haven't quite got one, but I'm working on it.
Well, we do have a 250 California Spider actually at the minute, but we don't have it here today.
I was about to say, where?
We have a long wheelbase competition version,
Okay.
of which there was only 9. But no, Miura, that Miura, I've owned that for a long time.
Yes.
And I used the hell out of it. I took it to Goodwood Revival last week.
Oh,
I took it to Salon Privé. I took it to Hampton Court. When I had bought this car, it had done 13,000 original miles from new.
And what have you put on it?
It's now done 19,500.
Really? Okay.
6,500 miles in a Miura. But I seem to use it for 3 weeks of the year, but every single day for 3 weeks of the year in a row.
Right.
And then
pop into the shops.
Everything.
And when you buy cars, do you buy cars because you love them, to sell them, or how does this whole process work?
So this is a car that I personally own that I just hopefully will never want to sell.
This is also not
I've
for
owned
sale.
this forever. But everything else you see in here are cars that I've bought that are for sale.
Yeah.
But I only buy the cars that I like myself because I find that I sell them better. Because if I believe in them, you know, I'm terrible at selling we've got a 512 Boxer, actually I think it's next door.
Yeah.
And we've had it for sale for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And the reason we've had it for sale for a couple of years is most clients will ask me and say, oh, Tom, what do you think of it? And I'm like, oh.
You'll be like, well, let's talk about this car.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, it's a rubbish car, I don't like them. And they're like, okay, then Tom, so we'll move on.
Say that.
But, you know, we have such good relationships with clients that, you know, and you can't be dishonest. And I hate the idea of the tacky salesperson where every car's the greatest in the world. Oh yeah, this is the best car and that's the best car. You know,
people see through it.
Yeah, the cars that you see here, actually, I believe in all of them. And I love buying things that are unique or rare.
Yes, exactly.
So this is a super rare colour, original colour.
Yeah.
So when we bought this car, it was retail red.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you put it back?
Put it back to its original colour.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's just, oh, my little pocket rocket. Right, should we go to the front?
275 GTB Competizione. So from the outside, these cars, actually what lets them down a tiny bit is that they don't look very different to a normal 275 two-cam.
It's all underneath.
But this car is completely different. This car is an absolute animal. You know, they only made 12 of them, super lightweight bodywork. You know, the engine is more like a 250 LM than a 275.
Yeah.
This is a serious car. I think it's more like a 250 GTO. I'd call it a Series 3 GTO.
Really?
More than a 275. Actually, we recently sold a 275 that was your great uncle's.
Yes. Max Beaver.
Yes.
Max Aitken. Wow.
And
okay.
we had some great images actually of him in the car when it was new. He bought it new and he put a sunroof in it.
No, I do. I remember this. I was a little girl when he had it, so I've got memories of turning up to his house and seeing it. This is probably where my love of classic cars. It's his fault. I'm very sad he did sell it, unfortunately.
Yeah, red short-nosed car.
It was. But this is just so stunning. I mean, how often do they come up for sale?
Well, cars like a 9000 series 275 is very rare.
Yeah.
You know, 275s we always have. It's probably my favourite classic car. So we have 275s in restoration. We've got 2 at the moment. And we always try to keep 1 at least finished in stock.
Right.
So a 275 generally, they're one of the most cash liquid classic cars probably in the market.
Are they really? Okay.
But they're not, it's not like a 250 short wheelbase is a much rarer car, but much more expensive as well.
Yes.
For that reason, they're not as liquid as a 275.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we always have one, but a 9000 series, that's a car that's...
It's much more rare.
Yeah, that could be the trophy of anybody's collection. It's that important of a car.
May I ask, if I had a checkbook and wanted to walk away with it, how much it would be?
£7.5 million.
Just gonna touch it.
That's okay. We can we can work on you for the next hour
Yes,
or so.
exactly.
You might end up.
I'm going
owning
to come
it by
back
the
with
time.
no house. I would have sold my child. I would have.
Oh, Jodie, you can write the check. You won't even see it gone. You're a Goodwood girl.
I am a Goodwood girl. I live next door to Goodwood. It was the revival last weekend. It's my favourite.
So I would actually love to sell this car to somebody that just turns up at Goodwood in it.
Yeah.
This is the car that came second to Stirling Moss in 1960 in the TT. This is like the most famous DB4 GT on the planet, one of the Essex Racing stable cars. So there was 17 and 18 TVX.
Yes.
And 18 TVX really, it came second to Stirling Moss in the TT in 1960, and it probably should have won the race.
Yeah, but Sterling is up against you know, can't beat Sterling.
Very, very famous car. So I just think as Goodwood, somebody should just turn up one day to the paddock in this car.
Yes.
It's been owned over the last 30 odd years by a couple of collectors who have just not had it out in the public.
Really, it's just been hidden away.
Yeah, and it should get out in the public.
And it should. Did they drive it, or did they?
It hasn't been driven that much in the last 30 years.
Really?
No, it was recently retrimmed because that was the original colour of the interior.
The cream.
Off-white.
Off-white. It's stunning.
And it had DBR1 seats from new. So it's very different to a normal DB4 GT, and it's very different to a normal DB4 GT lightweight.
Right.
So
It's gorgeous.
You know, without this car, this is a car that was a master project car that Aston Martin built in their racing department, and this is where the likes of the DP214 and 215, those really special Aston Martins, they all evolved from this actual car. So this was the very first.
This is the beginning.
This was the very first master project development GT Aston.
And how exciting! It's out. Someone needs to get it. We need to see it at
Yeah, I
Goodwood
would
next
love to.
year.
Well, you know, you're the girl for this.
Someone's out there.
You're
They've
the
got to
girl.
get it.
Zagato body, double bubble. There's only 6 of these cars in the world.
I'm just about to say this. I haven't
This
seen.
This is the Zagato trait, basically. This is the famed, from the famed coach house. This is what they were really known for.
That was where you spotted them.
Yeah, but if you think they've done it in an Aston Martin DB4 Zagato, they've done it in a Ferrari 250 Zagato. We've got 2 double bubble cars. This is also a double bubble.
Oh yes, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've just sold it actually.
Is it staying in
It's
the
going
UK?
to Europe.
It's going to Europe.
So it has never left the east coast of America since it was new. From new, it went from Italy to the east coast of America.
Yeah.
And it has never left the east coast of America until 6 weeks ago when we acquired it. And now it's gone into
Straight to
mainland Europe.
And did they drive it over there?
Yes, only 4 owners from new.
Oh, wow.
And the previous gentleman was, the previous owner was a guy who had a great Zagato collection. His collection was focused purely on Zagatos, and he took this car on the Colorado Grand and used all of his cars, which is nice.
It's so lovely. And when you've got something so special, it's so, you know, it's so lovely for everyone else to see it. And that's why, you know, that Aston, getting that back on the road or the track.
Yeah. Their colours make cars, though.
Look at that.
That's the only DB4 GT in that colour.
It's the only one, and that's original colour.
Original colour. So when we bought it, it was beautifully restored, but in dark blue. And when I found out that it had the original colour was pale primrose, I was like, got to put it back.
Got to put it back. It's stunning.
It's a stunning colour. Both DB4 GTs, but completely different cars. That was a race car from new. Even though it was a road car, road registered, it was built to go on the track. That car was just a road car from new that has just always been really taken care of. It's just a super original car.
Right, here we go.
And then we get into some modern stuff.
Ah, my God.
Other Astons, F40. Okay, do you like F40s?
I mean, I prefer a 50.
You prefer a 50?
I know, I'm one of the minority. because I just love the easiness to drive of the 50. It doesn't want to kill you all the time.
You know, when F50s first came out, today they're absolutely loved by collectors. They're loved by everyone because they go, it's the last V12 manual Ferrari supercar.
Yeah.
And it's a convertible. You know, it's the best supercar ever. But when they first came out, people would just call them a hairdresser's car. Yeah. So after an F40, they were known as the hairdresser supercar. And you couldn't sell the things.
Yeah, I know, you could get them really cheap.
10 years, they were a really difficult car to sell. And now these days, you know, they've shot up so much in price. But okay, how about this for a car? Let me tell you about the history. We've just bought it.
Right.
It was delivered new to Jean Todt.
Wow.
It's done 1,800 kilometers from new.
Wow.
Jean Todt sold it in 1997 to the second owner, who lived about 2 miles away from my house, and I'd never seen the car before, ever.
Just sat.
Because the second owner has owned it since 1997. The service book is signed by Michael Schumacher and by Eddie Irvine.
Give over.
Yeah. Just incredibly original. And what's quite interesting actually is when we've done a bit of research into it, Jean, when he sold the car in 97, he insisted that it was sold through Maranello in the UK.
Of course.
Because they were the world's biggest Ferrari dealer at the time.
Yeah.
And he sold it for they sold it for £205,000. And £205,000 back then, I tell you, for an F40 was huge.
Lot,
like I sold a delivery mileage car for £151,000 2 years later.
Right.
205,000 was a humongous premium.
And that was just because of who wrote their name in the book and who owned it.
And how much did Maranello, I found this out, how much did Maranello have to return to Jean Todt? They sold it for £205,000.
Yeah.
How much did they return to him?
I have no idea.
£204,500. They managed their commission from the sale, because he was Ferrari's principal at the time.
Yeah.
£500.
That's power. That is power.
So
that's amazing.
I'm sure the salesman was over the moon with the commission he got that day.
Yeah, exactly.
So
wow.
That's just
very, very special.
Off the charts F40. Lexus LFA.
Yeah, outrageous.
So this car, we were actually on holiday, and my son and I went to look at a Pagani Zonda.
Right.
Whilst being on holiday, somebody had offered.
As you do.
Somebody
you
had
can't
offered
sit on the beach and read a book.
So our oldest son, I took him with me. I said, let's go and try and buy this Zonda. And when we went there, next to the Zonda was this car. And the owner said, actually, I think I'm selling my LFA. And it's done 1,300 miles from new, one owner from new, serviced in every single year of its life by the same dealership.
Amazing.
Really, and the colour, there's only 3 of them that was ever in pearl brown. So
unbelievable. And when was this? This year?
A few months ago, yeah. These cars are a car for the future though, because the engine in them, they're a bit like the Carrera GT, that V10 analog. These are a car that will absolutely in the future just go skyrocket.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they really are, and amazing to drive as well. A lot of fun.
McLaren P1.
Ah, there's a P1.
Are you a McLaren girl?
Of course, more of an F1, old school, but the P1.
Such expensive taste, Jodie.
I do.
More of an F1.
I do.
I'm so sorry with the P1, but
oh dear.
P1. So this car is the only one that's in this livery. Again,
really?
Yeah. When you go around, you know, we have a lot of cars, even though we're dealers. You know, we have lots of cars that is unique or just super rare, and that's what we like.
Yeah.
We don't just like just another
bog standard
car that's bog standard ownership, bog standard mileage.
Yeah.
You know, this has done 1,500 miles from new. Actually, a bit less. I think 1,200 miles from new. The livery.
Yeah.
Is inspired, and it's the identical livery to the Le Mans winning F1 in its test livery.
Right.
So,
I was about to say, there's not. I know that car, and
the Wayno Clinic colours it's in now, which is like, you know, the very dark colours, the camouflage, we call it. But when it was in its test livery and Mika Hakkinen was testing it, it looked like that.
Wow.
And McLaren this year, if you look at the spec of the car that they raced in Monaco, was basically identical to
this? I know.
Grand Prix, their Grand Prix cars.
Gosh.
LaFerraris, we love.
We love a laugh.
It's a great looking car, isn't it?
It really is. And it's just going to be, you know, it's
Ferrari are very good at making really attractive cars.
They really are. Yeah, they pretty much, I have to say, as a manufacturer, have nailed it. I mean, there's been a few interesting ones, but they really normally 9 times out of 10.
Supercars, though, are just are beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, this here is the Holy Trinity, if you look. So
It is, of course.
P1, LaFerrari,
and the
918 Spider. What's your favourite of the three?
Oh, gosh, stop it.
You can drive
probably
one of them home. Which one?
Probably the 918.
Is that because you like Porsches in particular?
Normally I'm not a massive Porsche fan, but that's just, it's quite special. I mean, it's quite special. I mean, even just the colour, I love, you know, the green. I love, it's a great car.
It's a little bit overindulgent, but I have to say, I think if somebody buys, when people ask me and go, which one is the best of the three, or which one should I buy? I would actually say all three. I think they're all three of them.
That's not fair. You put me in a position. I have to choose.
I think they're all completely different.
Oh, totally.
People say that, they're all the same. They were the huge manufacturers, hybrid supercar of the era. Which one are you going to choose? But we have plenty of clients that have got all three, and all three of them serve a completely different purpose. That's the easiest car of all of them to drive.
Yeah, which it doesn't look like, does it?
But it is. It's such an easy car to drive. This is a monster.
Yeah.
That car is a true successor to the F1. Doesn't get the credit it deserves. Build quality is fantastic. It is a Ron Dennis McLaren. Those cars are way undervalued.
I was about to say, the price of one nowadays is...
That's 1.25 million. We've just sold this for just over 3 million.
Yeah.
And that car is like 1.65 million.
And you think that the P1 will appreciate more than these?
Well, these have already shot up a lot in price.
Yeah, exactly.
So these cars went down to being, we were selling them for around 2 million. They were 2.6, 2.7.
What was the
Then they
original
went to
asking price?
£900,000. Yeah. And those cars were like similar price, 900.
Yeah.
And those cars today are only 1.25 million. They are due a hike in price.
How many do they make?
375. Ferrari say they made 499 of these.
Okay, go on, tell me.
I'm telling you.
You know something.
That we know of more than 499 chassis. That's all I'm saying. No, but then there's whether they can be prototype, experimental prototype, or whatever you want to, whatever you want to refer to.
That old chestnut.
They are not numbered. Let me just say that.
There we go.
918.
918.
So 918. You know, circa something, and 375.
It's a no-brainer that
they're undervalued.
Right. You heard it here first.
550 Barchetta.
Yes. Oh, I like this. I like just the simplicity. I love just not too much fuss going on.
So the Daytona Spider, which was like an early 1970s car, and then there was no other open V12 Ferrari until the 550 Barchetta.
Oh God, there was, right. It's a long time.
If you were collecting open V12 Ferraris and you had your California Spider, which is inevitable, you're going to buy yourself day soon. Then you're going to add the Daytona Spider. Then you'd need a 550 Barchetta.
Yeah.
If you notice, I had a 355 outside that I've been using.
Yeah.
And then we've got, I think, 4 more 355s. None of these cars I've put for sale.
None of these 3?
Nope. Because they're mine nostalgia.
They're mine. That's why. I don't need to say more. They're mine.
When I was growing up, those cars were you didn't see many supercars. You know, people these days are spoiled. There's so many people that have got, you know, Koenigsegg's and Paganis, and I've got an F40, and people trade them more these days, and there's way more of them built.
Yeah.
You know, in the 90s, there weren't many supercars. The only supercars when I was growing up was an F40 and a Porsche 959, and you just didn't see them.
Yeah.
You know, if you had an F40 or a 959, it was like, Jesus, what do you do for a living?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how
what did I just see? Yeah.
So 355s were cars that we would see more of, and they were for me the first really good Ferrari.
So do you think this was where the love of I mean, obviously you're from a family that are very involved in cars, but was this the one that just did it for you?
No, I've always liked old cars.
Right,
So I've always liked classic cars. But as a car to use on a daily basis, for me, that was the first Ferrari that you could really put mileage on. And it was an easy car to drive. It was very reliable.
Yeah.
And I think it was a modern classic from the day it was launched.
Yeah.
You know, it's just today it's aged really well, those cars.
Yeah, timeless.
And I think Porsche 993s have as well.
Yeah. So, if kind of following on from a bit from the last question, what if you could have one car in the world? What was that unicorn? That one unicorn?
I couldn't. You know.
Well, you're going to have to. I'm going to
have one car.
One car.
One car in here or one car in the world?
In the world, ever.
I would pick, because there is no one car that does everything.
pressure's on.
No, there is no one car that you can get. Like, I love my F40. So this F40 was Sterling Moss's.
Stop it.
Delivered-
You can't keep doing this to
Delivered
me.
new to Sterling Moss, 3,000 miles from
And you're
new.
not getting out of that question, by the way. I see what you're doing.
If you see here, Sterling even signed.
Did he?
I think he signed. Is it on
Yes,
the head already?
there
Yeah.
it is. Oh,
Still got
stunning.
all of the factory protective polythene on it.
Is this is your baby? This is not going anywhere?
No, this F40 is mine. This has been packed away for a while, and
What an engine.
we always have F40s in stock.
Yeah.
Like the
Just not this
like
one.
the Jean Todt car we've just bought, but this is a car that I just thought was so cool to be able to say I own Sterling Moss's F40.
Yeah, that's quite a rarity.
And the correspondence in the history file is mind-blowing. So letters from Enzo Ferrari before he died to Sterling Moss, where Sterling had written to him and said, I would like one of your new cars. Could I have one of the allocation? And he wrote back and said, yeah, of course you can.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love you to have one.
Yeah.
And then Enzo passed away, and it took several years. And Ferrari, to be fair to them, I'm not sure that, I think Enzo was very happy for Sterling to have
But
one.
the factory wasn't.
But the factory, and he kept complaining, and he wrote to the factory, and there's a really interesting letter in the history file where he wrote to the factory and said, I've raced for Ferrari 11 times. I won on 9 occasions. One, a radiator failed. The other one, I got disqualified or whatever. And he said, but my good friends, Nick Mason and Gilmore, David Gilmore, have recently taken delivery of their F40s. Yeah. And he says, I'm interested to find out that being a pop star these days holds more kudos with the factory than being one of your ex-family members. Like, he really kicked off.
That is a good letter.
Yeah, well, the head guy from Ferrari wrote back to him and said, interestingly, Mr. Mason is one of our best clients. Yeah. And he was actually one of our best clients before our cars were worth a premium.
Okay.
And then he said, we will get you a car, but, you know, just be patient. And then Sterling took delivery, and actually pretty naughtily, he sold the car not long afterwards. Yeah. Made a big profit.
And you've got all these letters.
All those letters.
I love how Ferrari would kind of justify that, you know, kind of musicians are more important than their drivers. Oh, what on
Unicorn.
What on earth? That's the 288.
288 Evo. So these cars,
Oh my God, Tom!
We are so spoilt where we have the world's greatest cars. We buy and sell the world's greatest cars, but I don't mind admitting that I've never came close. Until we bought this car, I have never previously come close to buying an Evo before, or even sitting in an Evo. This is the first time that we had an opportunity to buy one of these cars, and I grew up actually only seeing them in magazines.
Yeah, this is poster.
Yeah. I mean, Ferrari supercars are absolutely our bread and butter. You know, we love GTOs and F40s and 50s and Enzos and LAFs, but we've never come close to having an Evo.
And I mean, how many? There can't be many.
Well, they built 5,
Right.
but there's really only 3, because one of them has been in the Ferrari Museum from new,
Right.
and the other one has been in Brunei from new, and it's not coming out of
Get to
Brunei.
see that, yeah.
So there's only 3 cars, and then there's another one that's been in Japan with the same owner from new. And then there's 1 car in mainland Europe, and then there's this car.
Where did you find it?
It belonged to a guy in the UK. Actually, this car, interestingly, has been in the UK virtually all of its life. But we recently spoke to Cristiano Michelotto, who basically, Michelotto, this is their baby. Ferrari gave them the project, and the car was built to go racing on the tarmac for Group B racing before Group B got cancelled.
Yeah.
And this is the car. So of the 5 that was built, this is the one. This was the first. This was the first one built. This was the one that was used for all of the road test reports at Imola in period. This is the car that. So of the 5 cars, they're all slightly different, by the way, and they made 3 of them with what's known as the Evo engine. So 3 cars had the real high brake horsepower, and then 2 cars had the lower brake horsepower, which was a mere 400 and something.
It's terrible.
But this car is the 650 brake horsepower engine,
wow.
and only 3 cars had that.
I didn't think you could, I mean, literally, this is extraordinary.
So have you seen an Evo before?
No, as I said, it's poster cars.
So you've never driven an Evo before?
No, of course I haven't. No, I don't even think I've seen one in motion, ever.
Was it dry outside?
It's sunny outside.
Well,
why?
do you know...
No, don't, might cry.
How do you think you could get comfortable in it?
No, shut up. Shut up. No, are you serious?
I think of all the cars in here that we take out for a spin today, you can choose anything at all that you want. I'd even be happy for you to take one of the Grand Prix cars out, but I'm not sure how legal that would be. But this car is road registered. It's the only Evo that's road registered. And I think of all the cars, if we're going to take one for a drive today,
It's got to be this.
we've
this?
got to drive a unicorn.
Oh my God.
So I am trusting you can drive stick shift.
No, but no, stop it. I was quite happy to be a passenger. Oh no, God, I've got a sweat on. Wow. Well, guys, you're going to have to wait for the second part for
Yeah,
that.
we're not going to look at any of the other, all these special 993 Turbo S's or
Porsches.
RS's or Porsche 356 speeds. They're out the window.
No, we've stopped. We've completely stopped now.
Let's focus on this, and shall we get the boys to get it ready and get it out?
Let's do it. I can't even talk, actually. I'm
Well, we are
quite
going
nervous.
we will take it out. Have you enjoyed your walk around?
It's been just mind-blowing. You know, I always knew that you were very, very special, and you had a very special taste in cars. And I have been wanting to come up here since I started Kid in a Sweet Shop. And you've just, I mean, literally, my mind is blown.
Well, we're very pleased to have you. You're more than welcome to come whenever you want. You have an open invitation. And I have to say, I'm very impressed as well. I watch your videos and you've got amazing knowledge on cars. And
No, I don't.
you're
not compared to you.
No, but I've literally, this is my profession. I've been buying and selling cars since I was 11 years old. But, you know, I do watch your videos, and I think your knowledge is fantastic and way better than most other people who do similar stuff.
Oh,
so.
stop. I've gone bright red.
Very impressed.
Oh, thank you. We'll see you for the next episode.